In this video, I'm reviewing the Ibis Ripmo V2. Hi, welcome back to Dusty Betty. My name is Tess, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Ibis Ripmo V2 for you. This one is a size medium. Before I get into this review, I just want to be straight up with you guys and make sure that you know that I ride for Ibis. So you can take that into consideration, but I do feel like I have some valuable things to add about this bike for lighter riders and people who are in between sizes. Ibis also allows me to let you guys know what I think about any bike of theirs that I ride, both the things that I do and don't like. And it's awesome because they take these things into consideration. The travel on the Ripmo is 147 in the shock, and the fork has 160 mil of travel. This is the Shimano XT build, and it came with the Fox Factory Float X2 and also the new Fox 38, which is a really cool design. It's got less stiction than their other forks with the way that it's designed. And if you're a bigger rider and you can put some flex on that Fox 36, the 38 is a fantastic option. Those 38 mil stanchions, that's a lot of stanchion. Someone as light as me maybe doesn't need it, but it was really cool to try this fork out on this bike. The only tweak I've made to this bike so far is I put my PNW loam dropper post on it. I use the 200 mil dropper, and you can adjust the travel slightly on this just to make sure you maximize as much travel as you can. I had to trim it back to about 190 millimeters. And it's been fantastic on this bike. If you've seen a few of these Ripmos around, watched a couple reviews, you know this is a dream machine when you point it downhill. It rocks so hard, picks up so much speed. The suspension feel is really nice too. There's a ton of small bump compliance, combined with the fact that it's got an amazing shock and fork on it. So there's so much tunability in there, but Ibis has a really cool feel on their shock tunes. It's cool being able to drop down off of ledges and not really worry what you land in, even if things are a little garbagey, and you can just keep on plowing through. So this bike is everything and more that people say about it as a descending machine. Just to give you guys a frame of reference, I'm 5 feet 4 inches tall, and I've got a 30-inch inseam, so I'm a little bit longer in the legs, a little bit shorter in the torso. The medium, I was a little bit concerned. Is it gonna feel a little bit long? Am I gonna feel a little bit stretched out, a little bit tired on long pedally days? But it's actually been a really great fit for me, even though I've got a short torso. I think one of the most important things that I could touch on in this review is the climbing, because that's what I get the most questions about. That's people's biggest concern. They know that they love the way this bike goes downhill, but they're concerned how it's going to feel on the climbs. Today's video is brought to you by CompetitiveCyclist.com, and if you use the code DustyBetty15, you're going to get 15% off your first order. CompetitiveCyclist.com carries everything you need for your cycling habits across cycling disciplines, including complete bikes like the Ibis Ripmo, tools, parts, apparel, gear, pretty much all the good stuff you need. I'm going to show you a few things I picked up in my latest order. A lot of the people that we're coaching are wearing flat pedals, and so I want to make sure that I'm coaching on flat pedals as well. So I picked up some new flat pedal shoes. These are the Ride Concept Flumes. These are lightweight, they're super breathable, they've got a really firm sole so you don't feel like your foot is wrapping around the pedals at all. These have been very, very comfortable and very light. I also picked up the Ride Concepts Wildcat. I haven't ridden in these yet, and I will admit these were a total vanity purchase. I just thought they looked awesome in the olive green with the gum soles. So I got those. I also picked up this multi-tool. It's a Crank Brothers M17. I've got a multi-tool, but this one has a 6 and 8 millimeter, which my current multi-tool does not have, but it's nice and compact. I also picked up 2 pair of the Zoic Nevia shorts. These are really comfy. I've got them in camo, and I loved them so much I picked them up in 2 more colors. They've got really great pockets, and I really like the fit on these. One of the things I love most about Competitive Cyclist is the great customer service. I know you guys will enjoy the live chat feature, so you can get quick answers to your gear questions, as well as quick and easy returns. Don't forget to use that code at CompetitiveCyclist.com. To give you guys a frame of reference, last year I probably spent 80 to 90% of my time riding the Ibis Ripmo, which is a 120/130 travel bike. I was also on a size small. One of the first things that I was really feeling the difference of in the geometry difference between these two bikes is the difference in length, obviously, because it is a pretty dramatic difference to go from a size small Ripmo to a medium Ripmo. Turns out having a longer wheelbase actually has some great advantages on climbing. Because if you think about it, by the time you set your front tire on a ledge, if you're on a shorter bike, you're kind of pitched at a steeper angle. So it's a little bit trickier to get the body positioning to hoist that back wheel up. When you got a little more space, your bike's not pitched at quite as steep of an angle, and you also have more time before you have to do the lunge to get the back wheel up. So even though this bike is, maybe a couple pounds heavier than what I was riding last year, it's actually proved to be a very great climber. Another thing that I think is worth considering if you're between sizes on this bike and considering the climb is I knew that I'd feel the length of this bike a lot, but what I didn't realize is that going to the medium Ripmo, I would also feel the difference of this bike is also a little bit taller than the small, right? So my center of mass and the bike center of mass are now a little bit closer together. So with climbing somewhere like here in Sedona, where there's a lot of rocks that you're dodging and going up and down ledges on the climbs, a lot of slow speed balance moves going on. And it's actually easier for me to balance on this bike. Like I said, with our center masses being together, it's just more intuitive to recover that balance and keep trucking through some tricky climbs. Another thing that's nice to keep in mind though with this bike as a climber is the suspension of this bike is designed to keep that rear wheel glued to the ground at all times. So when you're working really hard and shifting your weight around on climbs to get through techie stuff, you are losing a little bit of pedal efficiency as the suspension works to keep that rear wheel on the ground. That's going to improve your traction, but it's going to require greater output of energy for you as a rider. Because so many of you guys, when you reach out to me, you are comparing the Ripmo to the Ripmo, trying to make that decision between the two. Another thing I think you should definitely consider is how hard you want to rock it when you're going downhill. The Ripmo is super fun and spry to climb on, and it's all poppy and playful, which is great. But when I'm trying to chase my friends on their 150 travel bikes and I'm on my Ripmo, when I get to some of those square edge hits coming down the descents, it is very prone to bottom out. The Ripmo, on the other hand, Buddha. So if you like to rock it hard going downhill, I think the Ripmo is probably going to be a better choice for you. The 64.9 degree head tube angle, I think, is really the sweet spot with the overall geometry of this bike and how I use it. It's slack enough that it gives me confidence. That front wheel is pitched out in front of me nicely, just creaming its way through all of the chatter on the fast descents. But I also wouldn't want it much slacker because of how much technical climbing I have to do. Another really good question that a lot of people have about this bike is the carbon worth it? And as usual, it really depends. You can get the Ripmo AF, which has the exact same geometry of this bike, got that lower price tag, and that bike is still rocking and it's awesome. For me, I honestly don't feel a huge difference in things like frame compliance and feel when I'm riding full suspension. So I don't think you're sacrificing anything. That bike is gonna probably come in like a pound and a half heavier than this, which to some riders is not significant. And so it might make sense for you to go with the aluminum frame. For me, when I can shave something like a half a pound here, a pound there, that is really significant and adds up for, us smaller riders. So for me, I'd probably just save up a little bit longer and go with the carbon. But those are just some things to consider because it really depends on, where you're at in time and space. I rode the Ripmo AF for about a year solid and I rocked the heck out of that bike. This Ripmo has been upgraded to Ibis's carbon 35mm rims, which I absolutely love. I love having the wider rims, kind of spreads that tread out a little more, gives you a bigger contact patch with your tires. And this one came spec'd with the Assegai 2.5 wide tires. And the Assegais, they are heavy as sin, but man, is the grip good on these. I might be swapping out the rear tire for something a little bit lighter and faster rolling soon, but I think I'm going to keep that Assegai in the front because since I started riding this bike, I've been tackling a little bit steeper stuff again, it is so lovely having all that confidence and grip with the Maxxis Assegai. Now, even though this Fox 38 is an amazing feeling fork, I am probably going to swap this out eventually for a Fox 36. I just think a light rider like me, I'm not going to be putting a lot of flex on a Fox 36 even. And so that's just a really easy way for me to shave a solid pound off of my build. Anything else that I might change on this bike over time is mostly just going to be for the fun of it, trying new things, but this has been a fantastic build. I don't have any regrets about sizing up to a medium at my 5'4" height, and I would say the difference between going from the small to the medium, it's kind of that feeling of the small, I feel like I'm hovering over the bike more. I get that on the bike feel versus switching to the medium where I get more of that in the bike feel. It's been a lot of fun being on a bigger bike again, especially because this is more like the wheelhouse of what most of my friends are riding. So it's cool and giving me confidence to tackle sections of trail that I maybe haven't ridden in a long time and some sections that I haven't ridden at all. So it's been exciting and a whole lot of fun, giving me a lot of mental momentum as I head into this new season. If you have any questions about the Ibis Ripmo for me, make sure you post them in the comments below. Let me know if you've ridden this bike and what your thoughts are as well. Don't forget to head over to competitivecyclist.com. Thank you so much for watching. Get dusty.